Chris Farley comes in and starts shaking everybody's hand, and he's doing it kind of like in a 1950s movie where a guy is a baby and he's handing out cigars. How are you? How are you? Good to see you. But these are like his friends, and they're just cracking up, dying laughing. When you were with Chris Farley, you were powerless, like a drug, like alcohol, like pills, like heroin, like smoking. You couldn't not fall down, laugh, cheeks hurt, and go, how do I stay around this person at all times? He was that amazing. Jim Downey, the head writer, goes, Chris, and acts like Jim Downey's like one of his go-to characters, the head writer, Jim Downey of Saturday Night Live at the time. One of his go-to characters is the like mock, like the fake, like I'm really annoyed at you right now. And he go, Chris, what the hell do you think you're doing? And Chris goes, what? Because Chris was sweet and he didn't want anybody to be mad. And he goes, we got a new cast member over here. This is Jay Moore. He's a feature performer. And you're out here dicking around. You got to go say hi to the guy, Chris. Chris goes, how are you, young fella? And walks across the room to shake my hand. Fake trips about 10 feet away. His glasses fly off, hit me in my eye. I can't see. And he falls face first into my crotch and begins miming, sucking my dick. And he's going, how are Jay Moore? Oh, he's funny. Oh, Spade's gay. And he gets up, wipes his mouth, and goes, hey, I guess I'll see you around. And he just walks out. That was the first time I had ever met Chris Farley. He blew me through my jeans.
And when did the thing with Farley just start to gel? Why? Were you guys friends first?
Yeah, just buddies, walked around the office, and Lauren thought we were funny together. And we were, like, I'm from Arizona, and he was Wisconsin, Dundee. He's like the nice guy that doesn't know what, just head up his ass, walking around New York City going, oh my God, there's a McDonald's here. There's one, and I'm like, oh, is it on wheels? Like, you know, I just always make fun of him, and then he'd go, and he'd want me to make fun of him, then we just sort of buddied up a lot, and then he was getting famouser, and I think he felt, because we started together, it was like a good, solid place to be, because I was on the show too.
A good guy.
He's a good guy, and so that was a fire that was just going out of control.
Loyal guy, sweet guy.
Loyal guy, nice to me, laughed at everything, made me feel good because he thought I was hilarious, and that made me feel good. And he would get jokes that you didn't think, like, for being like a dunce or whatever people think. He actually was good at comedy to where he got all these dry, weird jokes. He got always when he laughed so hard. And you can always tell, you know what I mean? Like, you can tell people, thanks, David, thanks for coming. Yeah. It's sort of ding. Great story, David. Coming up next.
Time up.
So he would laugh, and I like that about him, because you couldn't whiz anything past him. He wouldn't go, I don't get it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like when you're in a conversation with someone, and they don't even have to say anything. What they laugh at, you can tell how funny they are.
Right.
If they get something and you go, oh, you like that too? That's funny to me.
Yeah.
Whatever. And that's where you go, he's good. And he was such a supporter, and he'd go on the sides and laugh when you're doing a bit or try to help you out or whatever. So
good guy.
Yeah, good guy.
SNL with you and with Chris Farley.
Yeah, of course.
I was there when you, I was writing there when you showed up, and then Chris Farley showed up, and you guys clicked right away.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's, in some people in show business are not, people think they're the wild and crazy person who they are, who they're saying they are on TV, but they're not. Chris was all of that, and you guys were very funny together. We were just hanging out in the writing room at Saturday Night Live.
It's nice to talk to you about that. Yeah, because you saw it every day, and Chris loved you, of course. That was a real heyday of great performers and writers. Like, just the writers were so good to write again. Yeah, they know. All the people that they wouldn't even maybe not know, but I remember we shared a little office, and then Sandler and Chris Rock had a little one next to us. We had to walk through ours, and Chris was always bored, and I was trying to scribble away and write some crummy sketches. And, when he'd go, David, turn around. And I go,
who would say this?
Chris.
Chris, yeah.
And I go, if this is fat guy in a little coat, it's not funny anymore. I don't like it.
Oh, right.
And he goes, no, it's not. I'm working on new stuff. And I go, and I turn around, he had my little Levi jacket on. He goes, fat guy in a little coat, don't you quit on it. Ripped it every time.
He would rip it,
yeah,
right?
He'd go, and I go, you're going to rip it. And he goes, no. And then he goes, he goes, it ripped. All I did was lean over. I go, yeah. He's ripped so many coats, and that's why we put it in the movie, because we didn't really have much to do in there. And he goes, what if I just sing Fat Guy in a Little Coat here? And we're like, sure. I mean, it was stuff in Tommy Boy that was funny to us that we just hoped was funny to people, and it worked out. Thank God.
Worked out great.
Now, Conan, do you remember Farley's order when we would go out?
Yeah. Yeah, Chris Farley loved to eat.
But
to a degree that I've never seen since. I mean, by any human being.
Yeah, he literally, it was the funniest because the waiter would make the rounds of the, like 4 or 5 of us, and he'd give your order, and you'd feel Farley's energy like, all right, come on, let me go already. And then he would order his food, and then he would say, you got the T-bone steak? Yeah, okay. And do you have and he'd name like 6 things. You were like, wow, he's getting 6 things. And then he would say, okay, I'll take 2 of those.
What? Two of the whole thing.
Double down, and he'd bring out 2 steaks for him, and 2 salads and 2 sides of every side he ordered. And it was like the quietest Farley. He would just calmly just be like, and if you didn't want to say like, hey man, you didn't even want to make a joke about it. You were just like, all right, let him do his thing or something.
Let him do his thing.
I want to get Chris ordering. Okay. Come on, Chris.
Don't parade me around like a jackass. I'll have this side.
For starters.
For starters. I have a little bit of a weight problem.
Oh my dear.
Let me be!
I want to find one we don't get
Tell him do something. That jackass is making a mockery of our anniversary.
The problem is we're not as talented as they. I know, you can't get mad when he eats a 2-inch by 2-inch piece of steak for every bite. I go, you're fucking joking, dude. He's like, what? I go, that's a full petite fillet. He goes, no, and then he takes the pat of butter and he peels the lid off it and he puts the whole square on it. I go, every bite, and he goes, it needs a hat. I go, well, okay, who can argue that? So, but a full pat of butter on every bite, I go, ugh. I go, where's the fat coming from? No one can figure it out. It's a mystery.
And then there was a whole new crop of you guys coming in. It was Farley, Sandler.
Yeah.
And so you said, hey, I'm going in with those guys. Because Farley was out of his mind even off camera, right?
Yeah, he was.
You joined Saturday Night Live. They send you to the Catskills to have some sort of bonding weekend for the new cast.
Yes, sir.
And Farley comes running in naked into your room.
Yes,
not Sarah.
Yes.
Farley.
Yes.
Farley comes right, and he had a tomato shoved up his ass.
He said, "Would you like to see my impression of a salad?" And he poured salad dressing all over his head and started shoving baby tomatoes up his ass.
Wow. And did you think this guy is the greatest, or did you think, what the fuck am I dealing with?
I thought it was the funniest thing I ever saw. And then he took me and he said, I have to tell you a secret.
Yeah.
And I was so like, I was saying, oh my God, the great Farley has to tell me a secret,
Right.
something about Saturday Night Live that I should know. And it was a big, big resort. And he finally found a room, that was, and he, on purpose, looking back on now, he took all this time to finally find a room, and he locked the door, and he brought me in the corner, and he said, this goes nowhere.
Okay.
This is between you and I. Pat is a woman.
You see, I'm interested in that.
I laughed so hard that he would do this for a stranger, and that's why I love Farley so much, and he's so much different than all the rest of us, is that he would go down the street and just perform for everybody. And I'm telling you, everybody loved Chris Farley. The young, the old, the smart.
That's what they say.
The stupid, the people that liked him, the people that hated him.
Yeah.
We had a guy come in and do a bad review on the show about how horrible it was and how horrible Farley was, and he laughed everything Farley said. There was a time when I was on Saturday Night Live, everyone hated it,
When you were doing Update?
Yeah, they hated Sandler and Farley.
You mean critics?
Critics, yeah. So it was pretty. Everybody was, oh, it's dead, Saturday Night is dead, and all that shit. And so they came, and the guy had an agenda, obviously, and but he was very unfair. Like Sandler was very, very funny, and nobody's funny. It was funnier than Farley. And then he presented it as if these guys were always doing shtick and everyone was looking away embarrassed and everything like that. And I remember him laughing.
Yeah.
So it was very frustrating.
Did you fucking?
And they made Farley. I never forget. It was on cover of New York Magazine, and they had Farley do a photo shoot where he had a television on his head.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny, but Farley's doing a big, crazy physical thing with this big TV on his head, and then they put it on the cover and they said, "Is comedy dead?"
And how did he respond to that?
He wanted to go beat up the guy, and Lawrence said,
"Oh, really?
You can't beat up people.
You can't beat up the reporter."
Yeah.
But he was really that angry.
He was more angry because they not for him, but because they attacked Sandler. Actually, he was very protective.
Yeah, those guys were the tightest. David and Chris were so tight, and but I was tight with Chris those guys were like real best friends. I was another kind of best friend he had. When he'd get pissed at David Farley, he'd always come over to me and like he had a crazy temper, Farley. So he would just be stewing mad about nothing about him, but just like whatever. Like if a girl talked to him, he'd be like, "What's that girl?" Whatever. Like he'd get so angry that David was talking to a girl or something. He'd be like, "I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna punch him." And I'd say, "Hey, don't hit him." And he'd be like, "No, I gotta hit him, Adsy. I'm gonna crush him." And I would say, because it doesn't make any sense. If you knock him out, you're known as a jerk. And if you lose, my God, you're known as just a giant pussy. And he'd be like, you're right.
No, and then I would go, Adam, I think Chris is going to beat me up.
I know, you used to tell me that.
Were you really afraid that Chris would beat you up?
One time he left me the most horrifying voicemail, which I should have kept, about he's going to smash me with a baseball bat. And then I didn't come to work, and then I got back to him, and when I saw him, he goes, "Did you get my joke message?" I go, it didn't sound like you were kidding. He goes, "Don't tell Lauren."
Oh, yeah.
David Tell and I shared an office at Saturday Night Live. If you want to make sure nothing gets done, put the two of us in an office, like polar opposites. He had a box set of Otis Redding that Lauren gave him for his birthday, and he cut a hole where the mouth was and put a cigarette in it and lit it. Like, that was 2 weeks of fucking laughter. Like, how long does a cigarette last? One of them would go faster, and we're like, he's actually smoked. We weren't well. So Farley comes in on a rewrite night. There's no reason for Farley to be in the building. He was the most beautiful man I ever met in my life. Ever. My other grandfather, Red, my mom's dad, Maurice Ferguson, he was the one, man, that saw him. He was the most beautiful man ever. And then Chris, right behind him. And Chris wasn't sober the 2 years I was there. He had his shit together, and he was, in a van down by the river. It's then.
Yeah.
And he comes in, he goes, "What are you guys doing?" And me and David Tell go, "We'll give you $100 to take a shit out the window."
Oh, yeah.
But we said at the same time, like creepy twins, "Come play with us, Danny. We'll pay you $100." He asked us what we were doing, and our answer at the same time. He's from Brooklyn. I'm from Jersey. He's Jewish. I'm Catholic. We'll give you $100. Like the cadence, like we were singing a song together to shit out the window.
Oh, man.
And he goes, "Give me the money first." And we were like, "Oh fuck!" Patting pockets, bro, and including, and I'm not exaggerating,
making lunch, baby.
$4 in coins. It was exactly $100. And so he takes the paper money, Chris Farley, puts it in his pocket, and then reaches across my desk, which is against the window, the longest way you could go, and the strong motherfucker, man.
Yeah.
Lifts that shit, tilts the desk, and the coins, like in a cartoon, ding, 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 into his pocket. Like, ding, 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 like stacks of quarters, stacks of, like, ding, 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 ding. It was amazing. Drops the desk, opens that giant-ass window, goes up on the window ledge and rests the window on the back of his neck facing in the building.
Oh, wow.
Is the 17th floor.
Yeah.
He could fall to his death at any moment.
Especially at his weight, too. That's a risk.
He's very graceful, man. He was at no risk of losing.
Did he have long legs?
No, he was just like a football player, and he just had incredible balance. You see him do cartwheels and shit and flips. He was great. And the only thing in the building was like his nose, his hands that were on his knees, and the snot bubble coming out of his nose.
And all the holding, just his head against that window.
Well, yeah, and he's balancing on the ledge as well, right?
Right.
But it became obvious, and they do tell the story on stage, it became obvious immediately that Chris
couldn't get it to pop.
He didn't have to shit at all.
Oh.
But he had the money, and he always delivers, and the deal's a deal, but he always delivers. So, like, the window's rattling from effort, like, he's purple, and it's Farley. He's going like, "Son of a, I'll get it."
And is he saying stuff also to make you guys laugh at this point as well?
He can't, he's insatiable that way, he can't. And after like a minute, which is a long time when a guy's above the skating rink.
Yeah.
Like if you ever see like one Fig Newton without the Newton, one of those, like that size, that shape, like it was like square shaped.
Oh yeah.
And it was thin.
Oh yeah.
I'll guess consistency. Fell like the snow through the window behind him. Fell from his ass in the window onto my fucking desk.
Oh, that's a Detroit Dove right there. That's
it
beautiful.
was. He wipes his ass with his hand. There's no papers.
Oh, no.
We don't write. We don't write.
Yeah.
We do nothing in there but fucking. I watch him smoke. I do diamond push-ups and I call escorts. And fucking Farley wipes his ass with his hand and goes, and starts doing like a zombie walk and starts chasing in quotes because he's doing a zombie walk. Me and Dave Attell are hauling ass down these hallways, but like in Scooby-Doo, he's always right fucking behind us. He's just going, his eyes were all the way in the back of his head, so we don't know how he can see. And it went from like, haha, to like, oh no, like terrifying. Attell and I had a single file only. And I'm like, I am 11 months removed from college wrestling. So I'm like, and this motherfucker's right next to me, ass and elbows, Dave Attell. And he's like, I'm like, neither one of us are giving it up. And I'm on the bookshelf side and it hits my shoulder and my shoulder comes out of the socket and goes around me like a grandma taking her bra off at the table.
Yeah.
It felt like it just went around my body. And if you're not sure you've been knocked out, it's like, I'm not sure if I napped or not. You did. Because there's no, like, no, I didn't nap. Like, I don't know if I napped. Like, then something happened. If you're like, did I just get fucking knocked? Yes.
Yes, you did.
And I'm standing there, I'm laying on my back, and Farley in the shit hand, he's going, and I'm like, and I go, fuck you, Farley. I broke my fucking shoulder. I'm like putting it on, like really acting. I made myself cry, and he goes, are you okay? And he stands up, and I just got up, and I ran out of the fucking building, and I jogged home, and I got under the covers. It was like the most amazingly funny, the most impossible thing, the most frightening thing. And I like fooled like a beautiful man into thinking I was hurt.
Yeah.
And like that hurt me worse than anything. His like, are you okay? Like when he stopped being a zombie, it was like heartbreaking. I just fucking wanted to throw myself in front of a cab.
Well, I sort of straddled two sides of his personality because I started working with him in television. He was in an HBO special I did with Tom Arnold and Ben Stiller and Jim Carrey were in it. And I remember him showing me, and I was shooting with Chris Farley. We went to the Glendale Galleria, and we were just following him around with a camera as he was picking up on girls. It was pee in your pants, hilarious. He would like walk up to a girl and say, with holding an orange and say, hi, do you have fingernails? Can you start my orange for me? I can't peel it. And then he'd just start flirting with it. Hilarious stuff.
A guy like you'd be married by now.
Oh, yeah, sure. Many women have tried to lasso this stallion. But for now, this wild buck has to roam free, or he will die.
So you're going to help me show people how to find a mate.
Bingo. Let's go bird, dogs, and chicks.
We decided to conduct our little courtship investigation at a nearby mall. We set up a communication link between me and Chris. The rest, as they say, is science history.
All right, Chris, let's start out kind of slow, buddy.
Okay, Tom. Sometimes you gotta get them a little sympathetic. Let them feel sorry for you, right? Watch this approach. Excuse me, how you girls doing? Pretty good. I was wondering if you could start this orange for me, because my fingernails are all bit off because I get so nervous, all the time. I don't know why. If you could just start it and then we could maybe get it together. I was wondering if you could tell me where the short and portly men's clothing store is. We're doing this together. It's our first real chore together.
Hey, Chris, that's not working. Now let's go a little more aggressive on this one, okay?
Holy shit! God, you're beautiful. Bye-bye. Hey, girls. God, he's good. Hey, Janet, Susie. Yeah, I'm not wearing any pants behind this organ. I can see under your dress, and I like what I see. scented underalls. They're just for me. Look out, Elvis!
Well, I was wondering if you know where I could get some aloe vera lotion. I got quite a burn going right here in this region. My body's made for pleasure.
God, he's good. Tom, as you know, a lot of chicks like the athletic type. Well, I have the speed and agility of a mountain goat. I'm falling helplessly, hopelessly, deeply in love with you.
Oh, really?
It happens to me sometimes when I see a beautiful girl. And I know now that you and I together, we can make a beautiful future. You and me together in the mall in the afternoon. And hi, how are you? Hey, Danny! Jesus H. I am sorry. Did I hurt you? Are you all right? I was a little excited, and my friend has left, thank God. Thanks, fella. Jeez, I am sorry about that. Are you hurt at all in any way, you girls?
So, Chris, tell me what we learned today.
Well, it's plain and simple, Tom. Everyone in this town is lesbos. You know, lesby friends, dueling bat wings. Know what I'm talking about?
Really?
I don't know. There's got to be some explanation.
Right after that, so that was for HBO. Then we did the Jackie Thomas show, and he played Tom's brother. And right after that episode,
I read for you then. What year was in Jackie Thomas? 97?
No, 91.
No, I wasn't here.
Different,
I read for a different Thomas show.
Well, they put him straight in a limo and took him to rehab. So when I was working with him, he was still, high and abusing stuff. Tommy Boy, he was clean. And ironically, I'm prepping this movie in Toronto. I haven't been to Toronto since I shot Tommy Boy 24 years ago. He was clean there, and he always went to his priest at night, and that was his AA. And, right after Tommy Boy, there were a lot of things offered to Chris because he kind of blew up. And the things that were offered to him I thought were terrible. And he kept saying, well, do this with me, Pete, do this. And I said, it's terrible. And I said, no. And he got really upset with me. He thought I didn't like him anymore. And he was mad at me. And I had to write him a 7-page letter, tell him how much it was absolutely wrong. I adored him. I just wanted the best for him. I thought he could get nominated for an Oscar one day if he chose properly. But don't cash in on this crap you're being offered right now. Wait, choose. And he forgave me. It was soon thereafter that he passed. And we never got to work together again. And I always felt sad about that. But going back to Toronto lately, it's like all these memories are flooding back. I literally stood at the Gooderham & Wirtz distillery last week, which was Callahan Auto. And they built an apartment building where the front gate was, so I was a little disoriented. I said, I remember we entered somewhere and it's not here anymore. And then finally I stood in the middle of the courtyard where he sat thinking about, his father who passed away. And I went, holy shit, I know exactly where I am. Oh my God. And I almost got emotional because I was like, I'm standing where Chris sat. And I could barely recognize it. But the buildings are historical landmarks, so they didn't touch the actual buildings, but they just put so many condos around it, it was hard to recognize.
Thank you. All right, so the Shrek thing, that was originally Farley's thing.
Yeah, it's weird.
And he died.
And I guessed it right. They weren't going to tell me.
Oh, really? What do you mean?
Well, I was working on it, and then I looked at the maquette of Shrek, the little model that they make, the clay model.
Yeah.
And I said, was this offered to Farley? They were like, the agent and manager and the executives were like, no, I don't know. What are you talking about? Chris Farley? Yeah, the guy that just died.
Yeah.
How so? I said, well, it looks like Chris Farley. They're like, no, I don't. First of all, it's going to change.
Yeah.
First of all, it's going to change because it's you.
Yeah. Were you upset about that?
I was upset to the fact that I wasn't told that
before,
right up front.
Because you'd actually laid down tracks for it, right?
That's what I hear now. Yeah, I didn't know that till about 2 years ago.
Huh. That's wild.
Isn't that wild?
Nothing like a fire and a noble romantic mission to warm the cockles of your heart.
Yeah. I like my cockles room temperature, thank you very much.
Hey, if you're not doing this for cockle warming, why are you doing it?
Simple. Fartwad gets his princess, I get what I want.
Which is? Now, come on, what do you want?
I don't have time to set it to music.
Oh, this is another one of those onion things.
No, this is one of those drop it and leave me alone things.
Well, why don't you want to talk about it?
Why do you want to talk about it?
Well, why are you answering the question with a question?
Why are you asking questions I don't want to answer?
Why are you blocking?
I'm not blocking.
Then why do you have problems expressing your wants?
I don't. I want you to shut up. See? No problem.
You're just displacing your anger.
Believe me, it's properly placed.
You're really mad at whoever did this to you.
No one did anything to me.
Yes. Someone hurt you so bad. Someone hurt you many years ago.
Leave my parents out of this!
Breakthrough! Let's go with that. Let's explore family origin. Were you hugged as a child, Shrek?
All right. I want a home. And someone to share it with. Okay?
Yes, Shrek. It's okay.
And Farquaad said he'd give me my own swamp in exchange for the princess.
You really think you can trust that Weasley oil rag, don't you?
Yeah, right. But now I'm gonna have what he wants.
Boy, has he underestimated you.
Yeah, he can join the club. People see me and they go, "Ah! Help! A big, stupid, stinky, smelly, ugly ogre! I'm so scared!" And they judge me before they even know me. My folks always told me that everyone loves ogres.
I see.
So, I guess they were a little overprotective.
A little?
That's why I gotta do this. I want them to know I can take care of myself.
Now, you want to make them proud.
Yeah.
You know what? When we met, I didn't think you was just a big, stupid, ugly ogre.
I know.
Night, Shrek.
Night, Donkey.
How many movies did you do with him? 3?
Well, I did Coneheads. We were all in.
Right.
Then the real ones were probably Tommy Boy, Black Sheep, and then I think that was it. He did Beverly Hills. Yeah. We talked about a third one, and then it was too late.
But when you were with him, I mean, it seems to me that a guy like that, if you're close to him, you know he's killing himself somehow.
Yeah.
And, how did you did, was there...
Yes, it was my fault.
No. I just there's nothing anyone can do after a certain point if they're going to...
Yeah, I just look at Scott Weiland, who I used to know a little bit, and
but
when it's just so out of control.
People saw that coming for so long.
Yeah.
And he had a kind of he was showing up on YouTube doing gigs where you're like, oh my God. Like it was like Kennison. It's like he's up there doing Wild Thing. You're like, this should have ended a long time ago.
Yeah.
Would have been better for everybody. But Chris seemed like, he was trying to handle it.
But I think he did 8 rehabs, and when
he did. He was one of those guys,
like that,
right.
And we had some friction at the end, but it was mostly because when you have someone like that, the same way Weiland's wife wrote something about him. Did you read that? That she's like, this guy died 4 years ago. Like she was saying, he's not the person I know. He doesn't even relate to me. When he wants to be with his friends that are doing all that stuff, and he doesn't want to be around me, and I get pissy about that. Like.
Who, Chris?
Yeah, he would bring people around and
those weirdos that no one knew but him?
like people that know that they're
worst.
they're junkies or weird, and they're like, hey man, I'm like, why are these people with us at dinner? Why are you bringing?
Chris Farley, the great Chris Farley, came up for a week, and it's the last movie Chris Farley ever did.
You guys.
2 months later, he died. But I got to know Farley a little bit, for that week. And
what was his character in that movie? Because I remember
Jimmy No Nose.
What was the story behind it? An agent.
He got his nose bit off by a Saigon whore. And Farley just the makeup department wasn't that great, and it just sort of made his nose look like it was bit off. And every line Farley has, Norm just busts his chops and goes, my life sucks. But could be worse. I could have had my nose bit off by a Saigon whore. Farley does a real slow burn. He goes, you bastard!
I remember that.
And Farley goes...
Critics didn't grab onto that type of writing?
Farley goes, Farley's looking at the Norm. There's a scene where me and Norm hire all these hookers to play dead in the trunk of cars.
Right.
And the Saigon Whore is one of the hookers, and we air it live on TV as a joke. So they cut the Farley to the bar watching the TV with the bartender, and he's going over his life, and he's upset. And Farley, like the acting job, like the turn on, like he's supposed to notice the Saigon Whore and get mad. And he's like, he's talking to the bartender. He goes, Mazzetti, you know, I had chances, I had shots, and everything. Hey, look, Jimmy, there's Mitch on TV. Oh, yeah, there's Mitch. He's a good guy. He goes, yeah. And there's the Saigon Whore that bit my nose off. He runs out to go beat her up. And Farley beats her up. At the end, she's bitching at him.
I do remember that part.
At the end, they get together. And she's bitching at him, and Farley's in this leisure suit we found him. Barely fits him. And she starts nagging him. He got his new nose put on, and they're together. And he goes, hey, Jimmy, you're together with that Saigon Whore, huh? You know, he goes, yeah, you know, it was great, man. I got the nose, best $200 I ever spent. Saigon Whore starts nagging him. He goes, you get in the car. He goes, I'm talking to my friend here. Sorry there, Mitch. Sometimes you got to let the hen know who the rooster is. Get in the car. When I say go, you go. He goes, shut your cake hole, Yoko.
That's what it was.
Shut your cake hole.
That's the one that blew me out of the water.
Yeah, it's like Norm just laughs at that, and we're out. Shut your cake hole, Yoko. So he was there for a week and a half, Farley, and we went to this brass rail strip club one night. And Farley had, like, strippers hanging off his arms. He was just so much fun. Like, he literally was like what you heard about, like, what Belushi must have been. And Danny actually met Belushi, right? I mean, you know, like, he was that sort of, and you knew Farley a little bit, too. He really was like that hurricane coming into a room. So he goes in this, it's me and Norm, and I think Sandler was there, too. It's like this group going into this crazy strip club. And Bruce Smith from the Bills, he was up there playing a exhibition game. He's got a huge Cohiba cigar with two strippers, just really like just trying to rap to them. And Farley's being loud, and every once in a while Bruce Smith would look at him like, "What's your problem, man? Just chill, man." Farley's like, ah! Strippers are hanging off his arm. He's like, "Hey, look at me, guys! I got a stripper on my arm. Look at, come here, whore." He keeps saying whore. Come here, whore.
What are the odds you're going to get Bruce Smith and Farley in the room together?
It was me, Bruce Smith, Adam Sandler, Norm Macdonald,
right there.
and Chris Farley, and a bunch of whores in the Brass Rail in Toronto, 1997.
And it still stands, that joint.
So, but an interesting thing about this trip was the chick in the movie was named Trailer Howard. Now, she was in a sitcom called Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. She was the girl. She just did the pilot. And real cute blonde. She was adorable, Trailer, like real sexy. And her boyfriend, who she did the pilot with, kept coming up to visit her. It was like a 19-year-old kid. Ryan Reynolds, the kid who's like a big movie star.
Kidding me.
He's like the biggest star.
Yeah, he's huge.
So Chris Farley like had a thing about Trailer Howard. He would kind of like hit on her and stuff. And she was like, yeah, you know, whatever. He goes, come on, Trailer, let's dance. Come on, let's dance. She just seemed scared. And then Ryan Reynolds would just hang out on the set and try to, like, wait to talk to Trailer. And we figured out that Ryan Reynolds was dating her. So Farley, in between this is when men were men. Farley, in between every take, would get mad because Trailer didn't want to bang him and was having sex with this young, good-looking kid. So all the anger comes out in Farley. In front of the whole crew, Nick. Like, this, Ryan Reynolds, I feel bad. He was like a young kid trying to act. He was probably insecure.
Yeah.
When Farley found out him and Trailer were dating, and after every take, he'd go, Ryan, he put like his hand was like gay, like, Ryan, come here, Ryan, come on, why don't you just kiss me, Ryan, you queer, you. He kept gay bashing Ryan Reynolds.
Who got the last laugh there?
And well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
oh my God!
Like, and Ryan Reynolds his face would turn red. And then Farley would turn to us and go, hey, let's beat the F out of Ryan and bang Trailer.
And then 2 months later, he's gone.
And now
Ryan Reynolds has anybody he wants.
He kept, he wouldn't stop doing that in between takes. He'd go, Ryan, how you doing, Ryan? Hey, Ryan, why don't you put on some pink leg warmers and get me a coffee? What a jerk!
You know, that's probably all the stuff Farley went through in high school.
Oh, yeah.
With the pretty boys getting and just now he's a star and he's like, I'm going to throw my weight around.
That's what happens, man.
Everything's just falling apart. Sam, you remember how things were when we were young?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I felt good about myself back then, you know? If somebody messed with me, no problem. I didn't take crap from anybody. Now I'm in my 30s, I can't hold a job, I go out with women I don't even like. And worst of all, I take crap from absolutely everybody. Yeah, well, things could be worse, you know? I could have got my nose bit off by a Saigon whore.
You bastard!
Hey, I'm just messing with you, Jimmy. I saw you down there. Hey, Mazzetti, get Jimmy a beer on me.
Okay. Sorry.
Wake up, slut! Well, well, well. We meet again. Nosebiter! Time to pay the fiddler, whore!
That was great, man. Let's get out of here.
Hey, Mitch!
Jimmy, your new nose looks great.
Thanks. Best $200 I ever spent.
Hey, Jimmy, that girl you're with, she's not the,
Yep. Lynn Young, the Saigon whore who bit my nose off. We're getting hitched.
Oh.
Jimmy, let's go.
Hold on, I'm talking to my friend here. Jeez. Sometimes you gotta remind the hen who the rooster is.
Well, good luck to you, Jimmy.
Okay, Mitch. See you around. Blah, 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 blah.
When I say let's go, you go.
Yeah? Time you shut your cake hole, Yoko. Women. Now listen, don't ever talk back to me like that in front of my friends.
You're making me really, really angry.
Oh, that scares me. That scares me to death. Look. Oh! You bit my new nose off.
We were in Aspen at the Comedy Festival for SNL, and we all went out, and then he was too drunk at one dinner with Steve Martin and Lauren and Bernie Brillstein. I took him into the dinner. We walked through, and I realized it, and I go, hang on, guys. And we scooted through all the chairs. It was a long table. I took him into the kitchen. I took him in the alley, and I go, we are not fucking having a 3-hour dinner. You're this fucked up. He goes, whoa. I go, you drank all day? He goes, I'm in Aspen. It's always an excuse. I go, oh, okay. And then the next day I met him for lunch.
Yeah.
And he came and he was with 4 people I didn't know, and he had not gone to bed. So his eyes are like rolling back. And I go, oh, fuck, you stayed up all night. He goes, oh, I go, all right, you're in Aspen. I forgot. I forgot. Jesus.
He's like a child. There's some guy told me a story about him that I thought was horrendously sad but hilarious. I was a Chicago guy, I think, and they were partying all night, and Chris had done mushrooms and everything else, and I guess he was just in the middle of a conversation and he threw up on himself.
Oh boy!
And I guess he said, "I guess I'm full."
God damn.
When you were on Saturday Night Live, you were on the years with Farley.
No. Farley hosted when I was there. Farley came on. Now, at the time, I was in a room with Tracy Morgan.
Tracy Morgan. Now,
yes.
Tracy was on during your years.
Yes, me and him were roommates.
Okay.
Right? And
that must have been weird.
Beyond hilarious, because we were great premise guys, and we would bounce off one another. When Farley comes on, now we're excited. The first thing he does is come in our room. I mean, he came in the first, he's like, Jimmy, I know you got weed, and I know you got, and he shuts the door. So I'm thinking, I'm going to be in the next movie with him. I'm going to get like one hitter. And
right, let me get him some weed.
So,
you didn't know how serious he was with his problems.
Well, Tracy had this thing, and Tracy takes out, and they're gulping, and one hitter, I got the window. Dude, I got such great ideas. He's like, it's gonna be a great week.
And you were able to provide him with lots of fun.
Correct.
Right. Yeah, so back in the days, what you were doing?
Back in the days,
you were doing coke, you were smoking, you were doing what?
I was never coke guy. I was a weed guy.
Weed guy, okay.
So I had the weed, and Tracy was a drinker. I don't like weed, make me sleepy. So he had juice, and he would, whatever he put in the juice. And this is when it got weird and creepy. He's in the room, and he's twitching, and he's sweating, and he's standing, and he's like, I want to go. And I'm looking at Tracy, I'm like, that's not from our room, is it?
That's not from the shit we gave him.
I'm like, I'm on the same weed. Weed don't make you that way.
What do you think was going on? Was he withdrawing from something?
Well, all I remember was as soon as it's done, like a child, I went right back to the room, just sat there, like pretend I started writing.
And working in your office.
And Marcy Klein, who you don't want to get on the wrong side of her.
She's a big executive at Saturday Night Live.
Big executive, that's enough. She comes in, shuts the door. Pff, what the hell did you two do?
It's your fault.
Instant, nothing. We didn't do anything. We didn't do nothing. And she's like, don't give me that. He came in the room and he says, you two are his friends for the week. I know you guys get... And Tracy, I got to give him credit.
Yeah.
I'm scared to death. Tracy's like, I'm a grown man with children's. You don't talk, I'm a grown man. I got children's. And I'm like, we didn't...
So he's like, not only... He doesn't get defensive. He just gets angry and starts yelling.
You don't come in here talking to me like I'm a grown man.
He's been through this before.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't listen from you.
Yeah, right. That's the smart way. He got insulted.
He did. He got insulted.
Right. He knows how to really lie.
He had a strategy.
Yeah. So he yelled at Marcy. Don't ever accuse me of that.
I got children. Says it in the Bible.
Meanwhile, you were ready to spill your guts.
I was lying. I was already putting my stuff in. I'm like, go ahead, search. Well, she says, and this is when I knew how serious it was. She said, we have Chris Rock here for the week as a backup to host.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
And we have a 24-hour nurse. It was just weird. It was very weird.
Right.
To me, that was then weird. Like, are we really talking about someone's life? Like, we're all worried that he really may die here?
Yeah.
So now, it was the night of writing. All of a sudden, someone, knocks on the window. And I look, and there's this... I had this sick presence of evil. And I wasn't even on weed. This was natural. Something's dark behind there. So like a movie, I open the door, and there's a woman. And she just looks right through me, and she walks past me. And I couldn't move. She walks past me and sits on her couch.
Yeah.
Tracy's looking at her. And then another one comes in. And before I can say anything, Chris comes in. Hey, these are my friends. And he plows down a pile on my desk.
Pile of coke. With the two broads.
Yeah, he's like, these are my friends. This is, Bambi and so and so. And I looked at them, and they're just looking. They were the creepiest things I've ever been in front of. And I'm looking at him, and I freak out. I was so freaked out, I left that week. And I went home, I told my wife, and she's like, he needs a friend, blah, blah, blah. So I kept away, but this was the phone call that freaked me out. Corielli was at my apartment. It was me and my wife, Corielli. It was like a Thursday night, around midnight or so, and I get a call. My wife picks up, and she's like, "Yeah, hi. Yeah, Chris, he's here." I'm like, yeah, we got a phone. She's like, "It's Farley." I went, "Farley? Like, what do you mean it's Farley?" She's like, "Hold on." She hands me the phone, and it's Farley.
Right.
He's like, "Hey, Jimmy," and I can hear he's got some people in the room,
right?
And he's going, "Jimmy, you know, come on down. We have a great time," and blah blah blah. And I said, "Chris, it's a long week, and you got a big day." And then he cut the phone, and I'm sure he did this with a million people, but at the time I'm thinking the only one. He goes, "Jimmy, am I funny?"
Am I funny?
I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Or am I just a fat, stupid guy?" I said, "Chris, let me tell you something, Chris. Before you came, it wasn't the comedians that put you on a pedestal. It was the workers. It was the people in wardrobe. It was the hairdressers. They were the ones that said, I can't get girls. I'm the fat, stupid guy." And so for 45 minutes to an hour,
You had to tell him how funny he was.
I had to tell him it was funny and what a great guy he was. And
what a shame.
It was god awful, and then that's when I started looking at things a little different, and then we had to read through, and I'm reading how many sketches he's the fat stupid guy,
right?
And all these special writers that are coming in that just wrote, here's another great fat stupid guy sketch.
Yeah.
Now, and the things I got to learn from him was he is a tremendous performer. On that show, he spit all over the girls.
Right.
Which was the funniest thing I ever seen. He had to do the motivational speaker.
Right.
So during dress, he'd do this thing, and you got to drink coffee. Right before you work out, you drink the coffee. He waited till we were on air.
Right.
And we're all in the room. He waited till we were live, and he takes the water, and he goes, right on Molly and Sherry, he goes, and they're drenched and they're completely gooed out.
Right.
I couldn't get my lines out. It was the funniest.
So he was a real talent.
He was a tremendous talent.
But he didn't recognize it.
He asked me to watch Chris Farley before he died. He said, "You got to come to the after party at SNL, the one he did right before he died." So I go to the after party, and Chris...
Norm or Chris?
Well, me and
died?
Norm...
Sorry, Joby's still on the phone.
Me and Norm are watching Chris Farley, okay? Norm has to go talk to somebody. He goes, "Watch Farley." Farley disappears into a bathroom with Andy Dick for 5 minutes. Comes out in 5 minutes, smiling, whatever. Norm comes back and goes, "How's it going?" I go, "Well, I got bad news. Farley disappeared into a bathroom with Andy Dick. And I got to tell you, man, there's only two reasons a guy goes into a bathroom with Andy Dick. Neither one is good." And Norm went, "Holy fuck, I hope he's high." And then he was dead a month and a half later. Talk about sad.
Yeah.
I wish so much. He wanted to do this show, and I kept saying, "You got to do it."
Yeah, I never met Chris Farley.
Howard will love you. No, he's afraid. He was one of those guys you couldn't understand. He kept saying, "If only I could be as funny as John Belushi." I said, "You're way funnier than John Belushi." I don't even think John Belushi's funny. I think he's like a serious actor that was kind of like tortured. But when you see interviews with him, he wasn't a funny person,
right.
And so it always stuns me that a person can be so unaware. He's walking through life, and all he hears is laughter.
I know.
And for some reason,
that was the whole rap on Farley, who I didn't know, but every one of you guys who was friendly with him say that. It was just crazy. He was the funniest guy in the room, and he just never felt like he was worth anything.
Yeah.
And even with the success of those films, and he just felt like an unfunny guy.
But I do remember him telling me, when he was a boy, his father was like 600 pounds.
I didn't know that.
And I remember him telling me that as a boy he would walk with his father, and all he would hear was the talk,
People goofing on the dad?
Yeah, behind
that was his sadness.
As a young boy. I don't think that ever left him.
Yeah, well, although sometimes I'd watch his physical humor, and he was getting big, really fat.
Yes.
And I think this guy's going to have a heart attack. He would turn beat red when he would do that guy,
God.
Down by the shore and all that,
I remember one time, Chris, we were in the commercial, in the rehearsal, and it was a breakaway table, and his thing was falling into the table. So I said, how the fuck do you fall without putting your hands out?
Yeah.
You know? So we all tried it, you know? And none of us could do it. If you fall forward, you're just automatically.
You got to break your fall.
You got to break your fall because that's survival. And he didn't have
that survival
instinct, which made him so funny. And of course, if you don't have a survival instinct, you're in trouble.
But he could fall on a table and make it convincing because he wasn't worried about living.
Exactly, and get bigger laughs than anybody ever.
Do you think that's what his demon was? The whole issue with his dad and stuff, and he was sad, and that's what the drugs did for him, and it did him in.
Well, I mean, he may have had demons, but I considered him an angel because he would try to make everyone he encountered laugh. Also, when we went to the funeral, we were shocked that he had the second life in Madison, Wisconsin, where he went to soup kitchens, and we were a very strict Catholic. And his best friend was named Matt Foley. He was a priest, which he also named the character after. And so he had the second life of, where he lived
service?
Yeah, service to God.
I think about the last time I saw Chris Farley, and it was one of the saddest things I ever saw in Hollywood. But I had gone through what he was going through. My girlfriend was a stripper on La Cienega, and I had just left the Comedy Store. This was 2 weeks before he died. This is 98, right? When did he die?
Mm-hmm. I think.
98, 97.
Yeah, December 18th.
98. This had to be 2 weeks, 3 weeks before he died. At that strip club, there's no contact allowed. They dance naked. Mm-hmm. You can't touch them. There's no lap dances. What you could do is hire them to dance nude, but they have to stand 5 feet from you, and there's a rope. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. That seems just stupid. I can't grab you. I can't fucking Harvey you. You know what I'm saying? For the small $5. But it was so funny how my girlfriend at the time said, "Park the car. You got to see this." And I go, okay. And I didn't know what she was going to show me. And it was Chris Farley sweating profusely.
Yeah.
He was sweating so much that his hair was back. He had like a shirt on, and he was just rolling up 50s and 20s and getting a lap dance and just throwing them at him. And I remember looking at him, come on, everything in my heart wanted to go up and give that guy a hug. I'm a comic. You know what I'm saying? Like everything. And you ever hear that expression, don't talk to the celebrities you look up to because you might be disappointed. Like I remember going in that car and being fucking really sad. That I saw one of, I was a little chubby at the time, so I looked up to him, Belushi, you know. Mm-hmm. And that was the last time I saw him. 2 weeks after that, he was probably gone. But 2 or 3 weeks, and I was like, that's fucked up that I saw him that night. Acting that way at a strip club, giggling by himself. He was totally by himself. There was not a soul with him.
But do you think he wanted to, like that's just the way he lived?
Just loved it. Just very excessive.
He loved
it. He loved anything he do too much. Yeah. Fall hard, eat hard, play hard, get mad hard. He was, So, but he's very nice when he's very nice. So, it was a tough loss because it was like the other day was his anniversary.
Oh.
Like 2 days ago. So, there's always someone on Instagram reminding me. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
A little gut punch, but.
Of the day he died?
Yeah. It was in December.
The funeral was rough?
Funeral I didn't go to.
You didn't?
Yeah.
Why?
Too rough, too much.
Really?
Yeah, it was really, I think people took it the wrong way, but I told Lauren and Adam and those guys, I said, I can't go. They said, it's okay. They knew that it's hard. It's hard to sit there and bawl in front of your friends. I know it's the right thing to do. I just couldn't. I was crying at home. I was so weirded out, and to see him in a room and a coffin, I was like, fuck it.
I was open?
It was just in a coffin. I don't know. They said, because I didn't go, but they said he'll be there, and I was like, oh. But those guys were all very cool to go, and I just, looking back, I probably should have. I just couldn't do it.
No,
couldn't even think of it.
Yeah, I understand that.
Ladies and gentlemen, about an hour, I guess, before we taped tonight's program, we heard very sad and upsetting news. We found out that Chris Farley died, passed away. We found that out, I guess, around 4:30, and we taped the show at 5:30. Chris is someone who many of us here at the show worked with over the years. A lot of people here knew him from just all walks of life. I met Chris, I think, I remember the day he came in for his audition for Saturday Night Live, and I think my experience with him is the same everyone had. Same experience everybody had. He was funny. He was probably the funniest person you could imagine meeting. It was a real joy to know him. And it's a lousy way to end a show. But we thought maybe the most fitting thing that we could do this evening would be to show a clip from an appearance that Chris made on our program several years ago. He did a piece called, which was very funny, I'm a Clown, But I Cry, where he went over and sang to everybody, and we thought that we'd show you the end of that piece and let everybody out there know that our thoughts are with him tonight, as I'm sure all of your thoughts are with him. So let's take a look at this piece with Chris.
But if it makes you think I'm great, I'll take a fall or flatulate. Yes, I'm a clown, but I cry.